Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe football show. Please do smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course hit that notification bell. Now, we were supposed to come at 10:30, but Joe's washing his hair, so he asked if we could go 15 minutes earlier, and then was also late for that 15-minute earlier spell. So blame Joe. Yeah, Oscar's going to be joining us as well from All Leeds TV fame. Lucy's just been to watch the 21s, so has just got back, is knackered and has got work early in the morning, so it's cool. She needs a beauty sleep. Rocco, he's also flagging, so he needs his beauty sleep. And Luke, I think, is the same. So everyone's knackered right now. But I understand it's 10:30 on a Monday. It is what it is. Yeah, so smash a like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to, I mean, let's be real here. Us three right here, if I do say so myself, are daily on this thing, you know. With it, we are the hardest working Leeds United YouTubers. Like, that's what we
as well, Joe.
It's facts.
So modest we are as well.
I was thinking Kate's a bit
stuck,
like,
is she?
Yeah. I
was
realized,
just pondering really deeply there.
I was like looking at Kate thinking, why she's not reacting to my awesome jokes, and then she's she's gone. There you go. It's all good. Oscar's joining us soon, but while we wait for Kate to return and Oscar to join us, Joe, how are you, mate?
I'm good, pal. I'm good. Also tired from a very long day on Saturday. Left at 5 a.m. to get over to the game and go home at 1:30 in the morning. Long day. Thank you, Ryan, there for lots of delayed flights, but we got there just about, and then we just about got out.
Honest to God.
Hi, Kate.
I can't even see you guys. There you go.
Oh, there you go. You can see us now, yeah?
God, I've gone off Wi-Fi onto Ethernet because it works better with StreamYard. So that's happened. Yeah.
No worries. It's
so
all good. I was just saying that us three, anyway, are the hardest working Leeds United YouTubers. We're daily on this thing, aren't we? Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. We'll always show up.
With no live, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Yeah, exactly. It is what it is, man. Yeah. Leeds United is our life. That's what we should say. Leeds United is our life. You know what I mean?
Yes,
yeah, exactly. How are you, though? How are you, Kate?
Yeah, I'm really, really good. Thanks, Joe. I had a great weekend. Saw the lovely Jer.
Did you? Did you meet up?
Oh, we met in a chat, yeah.
Oh, did you? You've been making moves on my last year.
Hands off, Joe. I would never encroach, mate. I would never encroach.
He was there with his mate. Hi, Nige. Yeah, it was great, and I couldn't believe how tall he was. I still can't get over it.
Really?
Giant of a man. Everyone thinks I'm tiny because I sit in this chair like this.
You do.
But I only sit like this because my microphone, I have an arm for my microphone that gets in the way of my arms. So I have to tuck him in like this and just sit here. So I just look small all the time, but I'm not small.
How tall are you, like?
6'4".
Wow.
I know.
You know what I mean, Joe?
But the thing is, it's the same with Oscar. Oscar's going to be joining us soon, but he's massive as well. He's like a beanpole, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I know what you mean. Unless you see someone in person, you don't actually know what's going on. I'm just 5'8". I'm pretty bang average. Well, no, less than average.
And I would have thought you were pretty tall.
This is the thing.
I would as well.
Not that 5'8's not tall, Joe. That's not what I mean.
No, it is what it is. 5'8", mate, and size 7 shoe. I'm a small man.
Cheap shoes, though, Joe. Cheap Jordans.
No, unfortunately not, mate. They raised that, didn't they? How tall are you, Kate, while we're on?
5'6.5".
She is. Yeah, she really is. Yeah.
That's all right then. You're smaller than me. We can still make this work.
All the same size in bed, Joe.
Anyway, look, just like move on.
Third wheel again. I keep ending up in this situation where I'm the third wheel in this.
No, not at all.
I love it. It's fun. Right, let's get stuck into it. Yeah, right, okay. Leeds United 2, Newcastle United 2. On the face of it, I think we'd have all taken a point before the game. Seeing how the game unfolded, Joe, was it a point gained or 2 points lost?
It's 2 points lost, isn't it? But at the same time, I thought we played well. I mean, Newcastle really only had the 2 penalties as clear-cut goal scoring chances. Outside of that, they didn't really create anything clear-cut from play. We did. We scored twice from open play. They scored twice from penalties. So I think I said in my own video this morning, I was actually really surprised because I wasn't really sure about Sam Allardyce and what we were going to get. And I really didn't want to see ugly football. Didn't see that on Saturday. And in actual fact, for large portions again, we tried to play football on the ground. It was nice to see. It was an attacking display when we had to, and I was quite happy with what I saw. We are still our worst enemy. We will all, and this season has been the epitome of making a rod for your own back. We keep making mistakes. We keep making, Sam said after the game about the players will get it off him this week about standing on their feet. He told them, and we committed twice, and twice we give away 2 penalties. It's poor. Yeah. But going into the game, I wanted a point from Newcastle, a point from Spurs, and 3 points from West Ham. So we're still on for that. Yeah.
What about you, Kate?
Yeah, exactly the same, to be honest. I think that it was, the open play that we scored the goals from was good to see. There was more shape. I mean, it just seemed like a really solid performance. And I don't know about where you were sitting, Jer, but I had a really good seat.
Up behind you.
Were you?
I was in the east lower, but right underneath the boxes. Dead center halfway line. Great seats, actually.
Yeah, I was like only like 4 from the front, 4 from the pitch side. It was fantastic. But yeah, I mean, even McKennie, I thought did really, really well on Saturday. And so you're right. Before the game, I would have taken a point. At the game, you're absolutely right, Jer. Own worst enemies. It was so frustrating, wasn't it?
Yeah. So obviously we have to talk about it because I think for me personally, I think the reason we lost the game is because we didn't convert the penalty. Yes, we gave away 2 silly penalties, but I think if we go 2-0 up, then Game State says that they probably don't get the penalty, the first one, because it was like 57 seconds or something after we'd missed ours. So that doesn't happen. And I just think under Big Sam, we see it. When we go 2 up, I think we see games out. Like Joe, you mentioned just a second ago, they didn't create nothing from open play. I can't remember one chance where I was like, oh, we got away with one there. And they're a very good side, Newcastle. Very good side. So the fact that we limited them to 2 penalties, it's good. And had we have gone 2-0 up, we win that game. Now, before we get into what's happened off the pitch with Bamford, let's just talk about our mood around him missing the penalty. Should he have taken it, etc.? Because what I don't want to do now is just revise our opinions just because there's been some negative stuff off the pitch that we're all suddenly... No, exactly. And I think some might fall into that trap. And I don't want to do that because footballers can be criticised. What they can't do is be abused. And we'll talk about that as well. But just on Bamford, for me, I don't know if you've seen the shot I knew straight away he was not the man to take the penalty. I was like, this has got to go to Rodrigo. And there is context. Rodrigo missed his last pen. But I just think when you consider, for me, Bamford's a massive confidence player. Everything that had gone on the week before with him having to come off Twitter, he's obviously already not in a good state. To then have that pressure as well, it just didn't feel like the right guy at the right time. In the ground... Joe, I'll come to you first. Because a lot of people have said on my video, Joe, it was exactly the same in the ground. We were all doing it. We were all talking to each other. No, Bamford. What was it the same way you were, Joe?
Yeah, there was a moment where Rodrigo went over to Bamford and they were having a chat. And I thought Bamford's holding the ball because they're going to do this whole, don't give the ball to the penalty taker to the last second, like get all the bullshit out of the way and then give it to him. But he turned Bamford and walked away from the penalty spot and walked over towards the east stand. And you were kind of went, everything about his body language, his head was down, the ball was under his arm. And you just thought, and there was just an audible groan went around the whole place. Everyone just kind of realized at the same time, going, oh God, no. And you said on your stream as well, the mental capacity. And I took exactly what you meant from that being, you've gone through a ton of stuff now. This is not the right moment to do this. I know what you're trying to do. I understand that you score this, it gets the monkey off the back. You can cup your ear to the crowd. You can do all of this, whatever. This is not the right time for that. There's too much pressure on this kick. Give it to Rodrigo. He's scoring. He's in form. He's playing well, And I didn't think Bamford was having a particularly bad game. He had a bit of a 10-minute spell after the penalty where he had a few bad touches and a bit of a wobble, but then he got back into it again. I thought he was doing okay. Wasn't doing anything special, but he was doing okay. And I think everyone, I mean, where I was, you could hear everyone. We were all chatting and everyone was just going, it's just the wrong person to take the kick at this moment.
Yeah.
You know, there's this thing about, there was a guy that I met in the airport coming home, and he said to me, I'm not a Leeds fan, but I was over at the game because his mate that he was with is Adam Forshaw's cousin or something like that. And he was saying that they were standing right at the dugout and Cooper was standing right beside it. And his mate said to Coops, who's on pens? And he goes, Paddy. And he said, well, why wouldn't they give it to Rodrigo? I'd be good for his confidence. And like, this is the wrong time for that. Yeah, we don't have time to get someone's I love the sentiment, but it's the wrong time for it. So, yeah, I think it was a bad decision.
Yeah. And, you know, Kate, you might feel a little bit vindicated last week after saying, look, he's there to score goals. And Jury's right. I thought performance-wise, okay, he wobbled a bit after he'd missed the pen. But over the course of the 90 minutes, I thought he did well. I'm not saying he did great, but he did well. And he was part of the reason we scored the first goal, because he was involved with, you know, holding it up and giving it to Harrison, receiving it, crossing. You know, and that's why, for me, he'll still start and still keep his place, because he's the only one in our team that can do that sort of stuff. But, you know, like you say, strikers there for goals, and striker's got to be scoring from 12 yards out, hasn't he?
I think so. But what it did for me, though, Joe, I'll tell you, on Saturday, was that I actually put my own feelings in check about him, because I was really obviously pissed off with what happened. I was pissed off that he took it. I know why he took it. We all do. I couldn't believe it. I was, you know, devastated. I'm still not quite over it. Yeah. But the reaction that he got on social media made me bring my own feelings into check, and to kind of say to myself, right, do you know what? All this happened. Yes, he shouldn't have taken it, all this, but at the end of the day, we have to move on. You know, we have to move on from it, and we have to give him a break, because the way I was feeling towards him internally is not helpful to anyone. It's not helpful to me. It's not helpful to him, you know, and it was just I don't know. It just kind of made me sort of think of it in a different way, really, to be honest with you.
There's a thing with this, Kate, and I said this like this morning. I said to a couple of people on Twitter, I'm 100% behind criticizing footballers. I mean, you can criticize and you can praise. Yeah, it's when you've got such a limited vocabulary that it turns into threats and insults. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lack of education, it's a lack of class from people, that the only thing you've got to say about someone is an insult. You can't actually critique the performance. You can't look at a game of football in a microcosm and say, this is just a game of football. He hasn't played well. He hasn't passed the ball well. He hasn't clipped it. They're all factual stuff. They're all black and white. You can't dispute that kind of stuff. When it drops into bringing his family into it, bringing his kids into it, threatening him outside the ground, trying to call over to his house, it's disgusting. And then you see the kind of people that have done it, and they've deleted the tweets and they've removed themselves from Twitter, and they're running away from it now. They're absolute cowards, like the stuff that's gone on. But by all means, like, this won't change how I talk about football. No. If you're not performing, you're not performing. But you're not performing based on footballing, either ability, tactics, whatever you've done during the game. It is removed from emotion completely, and it should be like. We're all passionate about this. We all get wound up. We all say things. I call the referee plenty of names during the game. I'm not going to go after him on Twitter. I'm not going to go after his family. I'm not going to go after. I know they're idle threats, but we're in a relegation fight. The last thing we need is players going, I don't want to play for the club right now. I don't feel safe going out on that. And then when you see a fan getting on the pitch, you're like, oh, I really don't feel safe going on the
God almighty.
Yes. Welcome, Oscar. Nice one, mate. Thank you. Sorry for changing the time late on you. But just before we come to Oscar, you know, I put a tweet out the day after he'd been chased off, maybe the same day he was chased off Twitter, and saying, like, well done. I mean, what's this gonna solve? You know, we've got 3 games to save our season, and you're going after him. And within 10 minutes, I deleted it, because I had a number of quote tweets saying, you're a snowflake, you're this, you're that. And I just thought, even I can't be dealing with that. So I just deleted it. I thought, I can't be asked, you know. Normally I mute them, but with that, I just thought, I can't be asked. And I deleted it. So you've then got to then times that by, you know, 1,000 for what Pat's had to receive, you know.
And his wife as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like, to go after someone's wife. I mean, There was a
and his little girl. I mean,
there was a screenshot of his little girl, and someone was on about like
kicking down the stairs.
Kicking down the stairs. Like, do you know what I think as well? And when you come into the Premier League, it's almost as if it gets worse, because if we were in the Championship, I don't think this sort of stuff happens. Or am I just living in cloud cuckoo land? I'm clutching, because I just don't remember things like this happening in the past.
Arthur got it the first year he was here on
not to the level that
not personal. It never got personal.
Yeah,
and that's the difference. This is personal.
Yeah. No, exactly. Oscar, just your thoughts on the Patrick situation.
Yeah, first of all, is my mic okay?
Yeah, we can hear you, bro.
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Cool.
I mean, your screen's a bit dodgy.
Screen's not great, is it? Screen's not great. Got the lighting a bit wrong here. Anyway, the depressing thing is, as soon as Bamford missed that penalty, I think we all knew what was going to come from that. You know, he knew it was going to be trending on Twitter. It's just depressing now. It's the modern football, really. But I do agree, Joe. I think in the Championship it is less severe. I think the Premier League does attract a certain kind of fan. In terms of where everything just feels a bit more extreme. But yeah, it's just totally out of order. And I think obviously in the build up to the game as well, obviously with Bamford having to, what's the word for it? Just basically get rid of his Twitter account as such. It's not great. It's not ideal with 2 games to go. But yeah, listen, it doesn't surprise me. Sadly, that's the most depressing thing about it. It doesn't surprise me at all. And unfortunately, I think it's going to be a recurring theme. It's only going to get worse, this problem, until you kind of ban these Twitter accounts, I guess. I think even when we were doing well, things like this happened. I think remember so many times when Tyler Roberts got similar kind of abuse, criticism, and that was when we were finishing 9th in the Premier League. So unfortunately, it's just a thing that happens now, but it's not acceptable in any way. It doesn't represent the fan base at the ground, because Patrick Bamford, to be fair, we were chanting his name a minute after he missed the penalty. I think that was and I think that's one thing that needs to be mentioned, that Twitter doesn't represent the fan base much. It really doesn't represent the fan base. Everything, it's always the loud minority as such. And I'm not saying Bamford's beyond criticism at all. I'm not saying that at all. I think there's 2 different things here: criticism and personal abuse. And
exactly.
Far too many people have gone for the personal abuse side of things. And listen, if Leeds are to go down, I've heard a lot of things about Bamford's cost us 4 points, the miss against Leicester, the miss against Newcastle. No, he hasn't. Bamford hasn't cost us relegation. You've got so many other things. You've got Robin Koch making defensive mistakes, the whole back line making defensive mistakes. Melier, let's be honest, has been pretty poor last 2 to 3 months. You've got the midfield hasn't offered any protection in front of the back four. You've got lack of chance creation. There's so many different things that have gone on here. You can't just be levelled at Patrick Bamford if we do go down. Listen, it's part of it, Bamford missing chances, but that is not the. There's no way you can look at this season. We're on 31 points from 36 games and say, oh, 1 player's cost us, 1 manager's cost us, this and that. It's not that. It's an accumulation of things over the season. And listen, I know Bamford. The thing is, strikers missing chances will always be remembered more than a midfielder misplacing a pass or a winger not tracking back. Things like this. And it's always kind of been the case with Bamford, where we know he's a confidence player, and I just don't see how this is going to solve anything, to be honest. We know he's a confidence player, probably the biggest confidence player in the team. And listen, it is what it is. But I'm not saying he's beyond criticism, but there's a big difference between criticism and abuse, and that's 100%. Realistically what we're seeing. But I think one thing to mention as well is they even said this before Bamford went to take the penalty. Got to be Rodrigo on this. Has to be Rodrigo on this. And I'll be honest. Did any of us really feel Bamford was scoring that?
No.
I've got to be honest. I didn't, and it's a horrible feeling. But I don't know. Obviously, there's a bit of talk about Bamford took the penalty off Rodrigo. No, it was clearly decided before the game. It was clearly decided before the game. I think there's a lot of different narratives trying to be formed to make Bamford look like a bad guy. Big Sam made the call. It backfired. It is what it is.
Yeah. No, I think
Joe, real quick, mate. Sorry, mate. I really wanted to get into this tonight. This comment that keeps popping up about
Jack Bees.
No. About that miss against Leicester from Bamford's going to relegate us, or that penalty miss is going to relegate us. And just to put it all in context, Leeds have dropped 22 points from winning positions this season. We conceded 5 against Brentford and we scored twice. 2 goals in any game should be enough to win a game. There should be no issue with that. We conceded 3 against Fulham. We scored twice. Should have been enough to win that game. Scored 4 against Spurs. We conceded 4 against Spurs. We scored 3. Conceded 5 against Palace, scored 1, and we're winning that game. Conceded 6 against Liverpool, we scored in that as well. And conceded 4 against Bournemouth, we scored in that one as well. The issue hasn't been the ball going the back of the net for us. The issue has been keeping it out. A good defense doesn't get relegated. That's a fact. Good teams with good defenses do not go down. And that has been the problem this year. It hasn't been an individual miss or an individual moment. This has been a season of collective mistakes in the entirety of the team. Bad recruitment, bad management selections. They didn't manage us throughout the season. Haven't highlighted the pros of the team and hidden the weaknesses. They haven't done it. We've exposed ourselves time after time after time. We couldn't defend. Balls being pulled back to the back post for the first half of the season, and then it was mistake after mistake in the second half of the season. So anyone who thinks it's a single player, it's Firpo or it's Bamford we'll criticize all these players throughout the year because that's football. When you do well, we say you did great. And when you do badly, we'll say you did badly. But to say it's that person is the reason we got relegated when you've dropped 22 points from winning positions, the most of any team, second most of any team in the Premier League, is like that's criminal. That's why we go down.
Leicester. Oh no, Southampton. Yeah, Leicester. Yeah.
Leicester. I think it's important, and I agree with everything you're saying. But it is moments, right? Like we as fans, unfortunately, remember moments. And if Leeds United go down by 2 points, people will look to the penalty miss and the miss against Leicester and say, if they're on a different occasion. But we found ourselves in this situation not because of Pat, but I get why people zone in on that as a fan. Because for me, when I wake up on the morning on the Sunday, I'm like, oh my God, if Rodrigo had just took that penalty, what would have happened? Oh, if Bamford had scored that, after Leicester tonight, someone texted me and said, I can't believe we lost to Leicester. Why did Bamford miss that chance? And it's because it's them little moments.
Yeah, it's the last thing you see.
100%. But I mean, the main reason we're in this shitstorm is Victor Orta and Andrea Radrizzani. That's the bones of it, really. If we're being totally honest, that's why we are where we are. And
Jesse Marsh. Let's get Jesse Marsh in there as well.
I mean, that goes without saying. But I was on the debrief earlier on, and Brownie said on there, we paid $7 million for Patrick Bamford.
Yeah.
So regardless of what happens this season, he's and more give us much more than £7 million worth of a striker. And I think, he also made this point, which I think he's bang on the money. I don't think any of us had any question marks that Callum Wilson was scoring both them pens. And that's the level. And that's the difference, And, I don't know what they paid for Callum Wilson, but they paid a lot more than $7 million, I'd imagine, when they took him from Bournemouth. I even remember, because I was still pissed at the time, when Callum Wilson went to take his second pen, Bamford was in his ear, and I'm going, don't you try that. You are. I just thought, no, don't you be trying that after you missed yours. But it is what it is. Hopefully, let's move on from that penalty miss. Performance-wise, were you happy? I think what it showed me, Kate, like, when we went 2-1 down, I was convinced we weren't getting back into it. So the fact we went then and got back into it, and we didn't capitulate against City the week before, it's improvements, right?
Of course it is. Of course it is. And there were so many bodies in the box, wasn't there, when that second goal came to Rasmus, and that was really good to see. And I noticed Weston McKennie was in the box a lot, at both ends. So. And even once we scored that equaliser, I was like, God, can we get the winner? Because they didn't give up. And there wasn't as much going down as there usually is. And I mean, it was overall performance. I was pretty happy with it. Yeah, there was a few stupid errors. You know what I mean? But when you think about how far we've come in like 2 weeks, I think it's incredible, really. And you like to think can only keep on getting better, really. With a win perhaps at I'm kind of thinking, loss, draw, win.
Oh, that's where my head's at. Yeah.
Should win against the Hammers on Sunday. I'm hoping so anyway, because God, I think we deserve one, really. We do one.
Yeah, definitely. I've been really impressed with Big Sam, really, and just the way. No, I have though.
I know, I get it. 100%
No, you agree?
agree. I'm the same.
Yeah.
I came out of the game going, pretty happy with that, and I'm going, I can't believe
exactly.
the Sam Allardyce there, man. I'm happy with
it. How many chances have Newcastle had in the game? Other than us give away 2 daft penalties, I can't really think of many.
No, they didn't, man. I don't know what their XG was or all, but listen, I don't remember watching that game thinking, oh my God, we've dodged a bullet there. You know what I mean? I don't remember it, and they've got an exceptional team as well, really. Especially going the other way, it's really good. Just before we move on, I just want to jump into a couple of super chats we've received. David White, thank you, brother. He says, Joe, thanks for making a long season very enjoyable. It's not been enjoyable for me, mate, even though football wasn't great. 54 years supporting this mob for my sins. Joe, I'll buy you a pound in the snail box if you're around someday. What's the snail box?
Only down the road from me. Snail box is a pub outside between Ashburn and Navan in Ireland, where we live, and I'm in Duleek, which is only just down the road from the snail box. So absolutely, Dave.
There you go. You'll have to walk in and say, has anyone seen Dave White? Dave White?
Scream at Dave.
Colin Kerwin always contributes as well. Think we only get 2 points from now. Hope I'm wrong. I counted 26 Melier errors this season. First thing Sam did was bench him. Seen you there, Joe, about 10 seats up. Catch you for a pint next time. Did he say hello?
No, some people did. Colin didn't. Could have got a point there and then, Colin.
Come on, man. What are you doing? Was he? Colin? Maybe he was a bit starstruck. Maybe he was looking up thinking, oh my God, that's Joe. That's Joe from Leeds United, The View.
I'm pretty sure he saw an egg stand up in the middle of the crowd when everyone else was sitting down and just scream at the referee at one point. And go, he was that idiot.
Class. Do you know, I think it's unfair, actually, talking about Bamford if we don't talk about Junior Firpo. Because I think there's a lot of focus on Bamford and Vauban wasn't great either, for his defending. I don't think for the penalty, but there's a little part of me, provided Cooper's back on Saturday, that Oscar, I think maybe Firpo being out isn't such a bad thing. Put Vauban in at left back, play Cooper left centre back. What do you reckon?
Yeah, definitely a case for it. I was thinking the same myself, mate, to be fair. I think, I've no issue with that at all. I think Cooper probably does need to come back into the team. He does feel like a big Sam type centre-back, really. Natural leader. I think Allardyce would probably prefer Verber at left back to Firpo, to be totally honest with you. I don't see why not. Obviously, there's a case for can Firpo offer more going forwards, but I'm not really sure that really matters in terms of a big Sam full-back. I think it's more about what you do defensively than what you do going forward, so I've got no issue with that. I think obviously the rest of the back four kind of sort of picks itself with the current injuries. We might even go to a back three. Who knows against West Ham? We might open up a little bit more because I do start to think that's probably a must-win. Maybe not too far off that territory. Only because Everton have got Bournemouth on that last day of the season. I just think Bournemouth will melt in that crowd, in that atmosphere, especially when they've got nothing to play for. So I've kind of got in my head, Everton probably do win at least one of those last two. We probably need 4 points or something like that. If we can get that win against West Ham, it'd be absolutely brilliant. But I think I definitely do think Cooper will come straight back in. I can't see any scenario where he doesn't if he's back fully fit. And I think it's more stable as well, to be totally honest with you, because I think if Newcastle's main kind of threats against us was down the left side of the defence, as you kind of alluded to there, mate, in terms of Almiron and Guimaraes kind of like combining all the time on that side, and that was kind of the only way it felt like Newcastle were going to get at us, really. We coped with Isak, I thought, really well on that left-hand side, surprisingly well, to be fair. I think that's something that we can just tighten up a little bit. And even in front of it, can we try something different in midfield? Can we start Forshaw again in that West Ham game and just give it that bit more of a Big Sam kind of feel, if you like?
No, I agree. I agree with you as well. And just looking at West Ham's lineup for the weekend before there was no Bowen, there was no Paqueta, there was no Rice in the starting lineup. And I'd imagine we'll see something similar on Sunday. And they weren't great against Brentford in that game either. And he did have to bring the big hitters on, but provided they progress I'm going to be watching that game Thursday. I want extra time. I want penalties, and I want West Ham to progress. And then we're just like, yo, this is nice. This would be really, really nice. But yeah, listen, Firpo wasn't great at all. He's had a bit of a topsy-turvy season. But just to give some flowers to some decent players in the performance and some that have took a lot of flack of late. Kate mentioned it earlier, Joe. You know, Weston McKennie for me looked very, very good. And like she mentioned, he seems to have found a new lease of life. We've been able to be a little bit higher up the pitch. And also I've noticed him berating players now. I don't know if that's something that switched where he's took more of a, you know, I'm Weston McKennie. I played in the Champions League for Juve type role.
Yeah. I think Samuel got on his ear and told him that, you know, you're a big player, start being a big player. But I think it's easy to say that any midfielder can play in any midfield role because they're a midfielder, but the roles are very different in midfield. Asking someone to play as a 6 or a holding midfielder is very different than someone playing as a box-to-box 8 or a 10 even. They're very different positions. And when you see the difference in McKennie when he does push up higher up the pitch, he's a much better player than he is defensively because that's not his job. His job is... he's played the bulk of his career. He's not tracking players back. He's not tracking runners off shoulders. He's not trying to fill in gaps between centre-backs and the ball is out wide. And then we're asking him to do that. And then we're getting on his back and we're criticizing him because he can't do that well. And you're like, well, of course he can't do that well. He doesn't play in that position. He's an advanced player. But it comes back to the same thing. We didn't buy the right players for the right positions, and we've had to shoehorn players in and hope that they do well. So the first half, I thought he wasn't really in the game that much. I thought he was a little bit missing, but he was holding the middle where Greenwood was kind of coming out onto the left a bit more. But then the second half, when Forshaw came in, they pushed him up higher with the pitch. I thought he did fantastic impact in the game. I thought he was really, really good. So I also thought Joe Robles had an absolutely excellent game. And just from watching him, he didn't stop screaming at the back line for 90 minutes. And he got this close to Wilson's face for the penalty and was just roaring in his face. And I was like, this is great. So even from a leadership perspective at the back, he was really good. I thought Rasmus had a good game at centre back. I think funnily enough, I slightly disagree with Oscar on this. I think Rasmus will stay in the team at centre back because I think Sam will expect Mikel Antonio to play, and for pace alone, he'll put Christensen to do him like he did with Haaland. Same thing, and then he tried to do yesterday with Wilson and Isak as well. I think he looks at Christensen as, you're not a pretty footballer, you're probably not a great passer of the ball, but you can catch up with people, you can tackle, and you can put your foot through the ball. And I think he possibly might hold on unless he goes to the 3-0. I think you'll see Cooper and him both go in there, which I wouldn't mind seeing. But I thought look, there was a lot of players that had good games yesterday. There was a lot of good players. I felt sorry for Sam Greenwood as well because I thought he did some really nice moments in the game, and then he had a couple of moments where he got caught in possession of the ball. But the first half there was a lot of that going on. We'd pass it quickly, 1 or 2 passes, and then somebody put their foot in the ball and look up and get tackled. And there was a lot of that happening in the first half. But I thought nearly Forshaw I thought was excellent when he came on the park. He gets a lot of stick as well, but he was very good.
Yeah. Okay, I was gonna talk about Rasmus next because I think what we found is, you know, he's better at centre back than he is at right back. You know, I think even under Javi when he played him there, and then you know, Sam's continued in that fame, probably fallen on it due to the injuries, but having seen his performances, he's that big Sam type of player in terms of, you know, chest thumping, big tackles, you know, celebrating moments kind of thing. He's nothing spectacular. I still get kittens when they try play it out from the backs. I just don't think we have the player, you know, skill set to do it. But for what Big Sam wants, Rasmus is better at centre back, right?
But yeah, I mean, isn't that another player though that was played out of position, like a bit like, you know, I mean, this should have been sort of, you know, sort of, we should have realised this a while ago, shouldn't we? Really, do you know what I mean? Not just recently. Stephen McKennie, but then again, he's had to sort of do a bit of defensive midfield work, hasn't he? With Tyler Adams being out, but I enjoy Rasmus. I enjoy watching him play. Actually, in that position, he seems comfortable. He seems more confident, and like he is a physical player, isn't he?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, and listen, He does like to celebrate moments. I seen him when he stopped Haaland scoring. He was like, yeah. So I was like, we're still losing, bro. We're still, yeah.
I love that though. When Pontus did it, we sang a song about him, and Rasmus does it, and it's like you're being silly, pal.
That's my agenda, bro. It's my agenda against Rasmus. Michael Pollard says we've finally done trying to play out from the back. It looks that way, and I don't think we have the players with the correct skill set to do it. So I think it's the best thing to do at this moment in time. Let's look ahead a little bit now. Radaby Leeds asks, how do each of you think the season will end? The irrational part of my brain says we beat West Ham, draw with Spurs, and stay up on goal difference. We'll go around. We'll start with you, Oscar. Let's not look ahead to the final day. This weekend's round of fixtures. Leeds United will know what they need on Sunday because Everton go to Wolves. Okay, Forest play Arsenal at home. Leicester have got Newcastle away on Monday and Leeds play West Ham on Sunday. Just with them round of fixtures, how do you see them 4 games playing out, and will Leeds United be out of the relegation zone come the final day?
It's weird because it's a quite similar scenario between us and Burnley last season, really, that Burnley always had sort of that point on us going into that final day. Sort of felt like throughout that sort of last 3-4 weeks. And it's kind of been a similar situation with Everton, where there's been a couple of times where Everton have really threatened to pull away, but they just haven't quite been able to put 2 results together. And that's the key thing, really. It's kept us in it. Wolves away is a difficult game.
It is.
But from my point of view, strategically, we just need to make sure we're in front of Everton going into that final day of the season. Whether it's Everton lose at Wolves, if Everton lose at Wolves, that will knock their goal difference back, won't it? Obviously not a goal
one
difference
in
back,
it right now. Yeah.
If Everton lose, we draw, we would go in front of Everton. I'm right in saying, aren't I?
Yeah, you're right.
That's the main thing for me. That's the main thing. If we have to go a little bit more defensive against West Ham, I'd happily do it, just as long as we're in front of Everton going into that last game, because Everton will beat Bournemouth. I'm absolutely convinced of that. So that's the main thing for us. But Wolves, to be honest, Wolves now, I think, are looking a pretty decent team. I think since we beat them 4-2, I think defensively they don't give much up.
They've not conceded at home in 4 games, mate, since we beat them.
No, it's mad. It's mad. Obviously, that Brighton game's given us all post-traumatic stress disorder. The fact that Brighton had this home record and were playing out amazingly well. So Everton do have the players who can cause problems. I think Dwight McNeil's been really good for them. Last couple of weeks, he's really stood up for him. But I can't see Wolves losing at home. I really can't see it. I might be wrong, but I just can't see Wolves. Lopetegui, the type of manager he is, I can't see him
You're focusing a lot on Everton there. Do you think Forest are safe then?
I've just got a bad feeling about Arsenal now. I think Arsenal.
Oh, really?
It's just gone, haven't they? They've gone. That momentum's gone a little bit. Gary Neville's just got in their heads. Completely. Just can't escape it. But no, I wouldn't say Forest are totally out of it. But they are the least likely the minutes get dragged back in. And obviously, technically, Leicester aren't completely out of it either. If they do pull something that I don't think they will, but I think it's between us and Everton personally. I think Forest, they've just got that. They just find a way. I mean, when you watch Forest play, it is not fun to watch, is it, Forest at all? I mean, I think if we're having bad times with Big Sam in charge in terms of entertainment, but a whole season of that Forest have had, it's just been basically Morgan Gibbs-White and Brennan Johnson just basically carry the team through. But to be fair to them, they do seem to do it. So I just see Forest 1 or 2 more points. I can see them getting that from Arsenal and Palace, to be honest with you. I can just see them doing that.
I think they get absolutely battered on Saturday night.
I know,
I can't see them getting any more points personally.
No.
I'm putting a curse on them here. This is all intentional. This is all instinctive. I'm putting a bit of a curse on Forest. But no, when you look at it over the season, certainly since Hodgson's come in, you'd have to think Palace will do us a favour. But I don't know. You don't get a bit sick over the season of just relying on teams to do us favours. We've got to do our own job now. We've got to actually win a game. We've not actually won a game since the start of April. We have actually got to do our own thing as well.
I know, and hopefully that comes at the weekend. But just on teams doing us favours, if you look at Brighton's last 10 results, right? They beat Chelsea, they lost on pens to Man United in the FA Cup, they beat Arsenal, they beat Man United again in the league, they beat Wolves 6-0. The 2 losses have come 3-1 to Forest and 5-1 to Everton. And you just think, my God, like, why? Do you know what I mean? Why?
Is there some kind of conspiracy thing going on?
I know people were saying there's been there's been some there's a fix going on. You know what it's like, football fans get like. But Kate, what are your thoughts going into these next round of fixtures?
Well, mine isn't as well thought out as Oscar's, but
That's fine.
but
I've been obsessing over this for like the last 48 hours. Right, if that happens,
isn't it? I'm not sure about West Ham. I know people say, we can get something from that, but I'm not convinced that we can. I mean, for me, I think you're right. I don't actually think that Forest are necessarily going to get any more points. And if we can get a win and a draw from somewhere, then that would put us above them. So, which would put, you know what I mean? So I really don't know. Who's Leicester's last game?
West Ham.
Leicester play West Ham. West Ham.
Yeah.
But I think if
They could be gone by then.
Leicester lose Monday night, I think they could be done. They'll be done anyway. I don't think they'll be able to, even with 3 points, if we all get results this weekend or there or thereabouts. I don't think even a win saves them.
So we basically just need. Well,
we need to win. We need to get a result for sure. I'm at the stage where I'm at this minute. I'm going Wolves 1-0. I'm thinking Arsenal 4-0 against Forest, and then we win 2-1. But I am always on that side of things. We'll see. Listen, I thought bloody Manic Monday was going to go well, and we know how all that turned out. Leicester got battered 5-3. I'm like, whoa, happy days. And then Everton went and scored 5 away at Brighton, which is insane. Joe, thoughts, mate, on this weekend? It's going to be up and down again. And do you know what I will say, just to look ahead, that Sunday is going to be absolute torture. That final Premier League day. Wow.
It's bad now, mate.
I know, yeah.
I was feeling fine about it till we started talking about it, and now I'm like, I've got a sick feeling in the bottom of my stomach again. I'm like, that's back again. Great. I don't trust Wolves.
Really?
Yeah, and I think Everton beat them.
Oh God! God.
And I don't think Everton go down. I think it's us or Forest. I think sort of flying here needs to go away. Yeah, I think it's us or Forest. I think Everton have got away to Wolves. I don't think Wolves have gotten to play for it or 40. I know Lopetegui. I agree 100% what Oscar said. I don't believe Lopetegui is the kind of coach that will let them, finish up early and chill out on the pitch. You want the result. He'll want them to fix that little bad period they had in the middle of the season and send the fans home happy at the end of the year, looking forward to next year.
They've got quite a few big players leaving. He'll kind of want to make an impression, won't they? Will go out
to leave the right way. Yeah, and then the only thing I do think is the Arsenal one. I think the pressure is off Arsenal now because I think the league is over. I think they know that. I think by the time they play, they got Forest 5:30 on Saturday. Man City play Sunday. I don't think Arsenal can win the league. I think they know they can't win the league now. I think it's done. And I think maybe that could help us. That could be a case that Arsenal will go out with no pressure on them, play the way they've been playing for the last couple. They need to give their fans something back now after the last couple of weeks. They need to finish the last 2 games, 2 wins, finish second. Great season still for them. That's the hope for them. Drag Forest down. I mean, the best way around is go out and beat West Ham and go out and beat Spurs. I know it's easy to say that, but go and get 2 wins and then job done.
Absolutely,
yeah. But I don't
mid-table.
I don't know. Yeah, right. You might even catch Palace. Can we catch Chelsea? No. Yeah, it's that way for me. And then I think Nottingham Forest have got Palace away on the last day. I think it's probably looking at a draw there. Probably a draw.
Really? Roy's last game in charge, you think?
I wouldn't be surprised if the last team to go down and the last team to stay up finish the season on the same amount of points. I wouldn't be shocked at all. But I think I agree with you, Joe. I think the last team to go down will go down on goal difference. I just hope it's not us. But we are relying on other people, and that's the problem. We put ourselves in this mess. And it goes back to
I don't think it'll be like this next year, though. If we stay up, I think they'll do something.
Oh yeah,
there has to be major investment in this next year. If we
on the slot on June the 1st for me, just get it done. Get it done. First day of transfer window, on the slot in. He doesn't want the Champions League. He's not bothered about the Champions League final. Just get it done. Get it done.
He's just won the league, so he can leave now. You know?
Yeah, he's proving himself now.
Just on right. Let's look ahead then, because I was chatting about this earlier as well. I'm of the thinking now at this point, if we do stay up or go down, I'd just give it Big Sam. I would. I think Leeds United need some stability. I think Leeds United need a manager who's not going to take any shit from those above. He's already been berating the squad in a roundabout way. You know,
he says it's not good enough.
Yeah, said it's not good enough. He's mentioned the fact that you need 5 good subs and all that sort of stuff, and we don't have that. Let's be real.
We don't have 5 good players. The Premier League.
Better, we might have 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So does anyone disagree with me? Do you want a flashy name, Oscar?
It just depends what happens these last 2 games. I mean, if we go down with a complete whimper, then it's difficult. It's a difficult one to sort of like justify keeping Big Sam. But I mean, it's one of them. Like, all right, say if we went down. Okay, say if we go down, 46-game season, where we're not going to be on the attack. We're going to need to win. Look, if we want to go straight back up, we're going to need to win sort of 25-ish games over a season. Is Big Sam's style of play what's going to get that? Realistically, when you're looking at the teams that are going back up from the Championship, they're quite expansive teams. You know, seeing Vincent Kompany at Burnley, Marco Silva at Fulham, just banging goals in week after week, conceding quite a lot of goals. But that's kind of the theme you're seeing, is that the teams that are going up are the teams that are kind of playing quite expansive, attacking football. And listen, I'm not totally against it. I mean, Big Sam's record in the Championship is really good, but this is like 10 years ago as well. That's something to consider. Premier League football is a bit of a different kind of case, because we're looking to probably stabilise ourselves. Big Sam's done that everywhere he's been, to be fair. I like the fact that you look at Allardyce's transfer dealings, West Ham, Sunderland, Blackburn, Bolton. He's got a phenomenal record in the transfer market, to be fair to him. In terms of getting value, good value players in. He's got a good eye for a player, and it's experienced head. I think the thing you look at is, since Bielsa left, haven't really had an experienced head really look at that squad, if I'm being totally honest. You've not really had someone look at the squad where you're thinking, yeah, they've got a big track record, 10 years, they know how to build a Premier League squad. You look at our squads, okay, the big example for me is the fact that we sold Rafinha. Everyone knew we were going to sell Rafinha. We didn't actually bring in a right winger to replace one of the best right wingers in the world who left the club. We didn't actually sign a right winger to replace him. And all season, we've been playing Jack Harrison, slightly out of position there. Tried Willie Nonto there, tried Sinistera there. Hasn't really worked. It's just little things like that. And you just think, when Calvin left, could we have tried, a different midfield target to Mark Rocker, for example? I think Mark Rocker's a really good player, by the way, but in the style of football we play, it's not going to happen for Mark Rocker unless we do change things stylistically in terms of becoming more possession-based. That isn't happening under Big Sam. So you just look at it and you say, from that point of view, having an experienced head to just rebuild the club, that's essentially what we need. We do need a rebuild. Not just sell 5 players, bring in 5 players. It's a full-on rebuild, this. Director of football, coaching needs to be decided, ownership needs to be decided. You look at Big Sam, you say, that's an experienced head looking at that. But then the other side of it is, if we had a bad start to the season, all of a sudden, it's the football's not particularly exciting. It's this and that. And I've got no problem with the way we play under Big Sam, but you've got to get points with it as well. You can't go on like losing runs to start the season off. But I don't know. It's really difficult to say. Obviously, we're only 2 games into it. The next 2 games, West Ham and Tottenham, both clubs are nowhere near the standard of City and Newcastle. So we will probably be more on the attack in those games. Let's see what we can do in terms of where the onus is on us to win the game. Because let's face it, if Everton win at Wolves and Forest somehow pull something out of the bag against Arsenal, we've got to really open up against West Ham. We can't. We draw that game, we're down effectively. So, it's one of them. Let's see what it's like when we try and play a bit more expansively. When we were chasing the games against Newcastle, I quite liked the way Sam approached it, to be fair. I thought he got his sub spot on. And you can't have any faults with him so far. But we've had this with Javi Gracia, let's not forget. First 6 games were great. We know how quickly things can go wrong. I think if you ask most Leeds fans after that Forest game, when we took 10 points from the first 6 games, they said, Gracia next season. We're looking safe having next season. So things can change very, very quickly. We've seen it all season. The first 3 games under Jesse Marsh, we took 7 points. So I'm not getting too carried away just yet. But Big Sam's a contender, no doubt about it.
That's fair. Anyone want to piggyback on the back of what Oscar said?
I agree what Oscar's saying. It's, he said piggyback. I just yes, I agree with everything Oscar said. The thing for me is, if we go down, I don't want Sam. Because I think if we go down, we have a chance to rebuild this properly and get a manager in. And 100% to Oscar's point, you saw how we went up in the years we didn't go up under Bielsa. We went up playing expansive football. Again, Oscar's already said it, Burnley, they've done that. That's what you wanted. This is a chance to bring in somebody like a Brendan Rodgers or a Graham Potter to take the drop down and rebuild the project and take the time to build it the way they want, and knowing that they'll have funds when they go into the Premier League with the 49ers or whoever else is in charge at that stage. I think if you stay in the Premier League for a season or two, I would give it to Sam. Now, I am one of those people that said after Javi got his 3rd win, I don't, if we stay up or go down, give it to Javi. And then after a couple more games, you're like, oh, maybe not. Maybe not. The sample size is so small right now for it to be made.
Mate, at half-time against Crystal Palace, when we were 1-1 at half-time, we were absolutely playing Palace off the park. I'd have said, Javi Gracia, 3-year contract right now.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I was exactly the same. But if you look at, I'm just looking at Allardyce's finishes in the Premier League. Outside of Sunderland, who are a weak side, where he finished 17th with them, so he didn't go down even with them. West Brom 19th was the only one that he went down with, and what he said about that one was he would never take that job again in hindsight, because it was during COVID and the amount of restrictions that they had and how he could get his ideas across, it didn't work and he couldn't do it properly. So outside of that, he had West Ham's worst finish under him was 13th. He left Everton when they finished 8th. Now, I know Everton fans ran him out of the club, and you're going, I wonder how quickly you would have taken him back in the last couple of years since he left, because since he left, they've just nosedived down the division every season. So there's a benefit to go. I wouldn't mind an uneventful season in the Premier League. Just 1 year of mid-table mediocrity with no drama, no bullshit, no hassle. Give it to him for the year, settle it out, and then maybe look to push on. And he's not a young man, and he might look to pass it on to somebody else himself after a period of time. Yeah. But I think if we go down, you've got a chance to rebuild it properly, clear house, get everyone in the right way, start the project the right way, and build it up to get into the Premier League, and then maybe see where it goes. But if we do stay up, I give it to them.
And what about in terms of, you mentioned Brendan Rodgers? I mean, do you think the Championship, Joe, is something he'd be prepared to entertain?
I think himself and Potter right now, their stock's not what it was. And I think there's a possibility of, and I think it depends on the club. I know other fans will tell us we're delusional Leeds fans, but Leeds is a big club. And I think the possibility of coming into Leeds knowing that this isn't the Leeds United that got relegated from the Premier League the last time. This isn't a bankrupt shell of a club. This is a club with money. This is a club that's got no debt really hanging over it. This is a club that's in a good spot with a really strong youth academy. It's got a lot of good young players that could play in the Championship and do well there. Add a bit of experience, and there is money with the 49ers and Pete Lowry as well. Even if they don't take over at the end of the season, they're still there. They're still part owners. There's still investment there as well. There's a lot of money. You could do a lot to rebuild this properly. It needs balance. It needs a proper director of football. I think if Sam does stay on, I don't think you need a director of football. I think you make him the manager. You go back to an older model and you let him pick the players he wants to bring in to make this work. Remember, he made an England international out of Mikel Antonio, where nobody thought he would ever play for England. He made an England international out of him, and a good striker out of Mikel Antonio as well. So he can develop players, and he can make people better. And he's got an eye for, as already been said, he's got an eye for a signing. So, but I think Rodgers will have limited opportunities next season. I think anyone who stays up might look to give Rodgers that job. I think that's the bracket right now. I think he's a really good coach, but I think he needs 100% backing from a club to do it his way. Same with Potter. Who do you prefer out of those two? Rodgers. Rodgers, because the Potter stuff, and I know everyone gets excited about Graham Potter. It took him 12 months at Brighton to get it right. They weren't great his first season under them, and I don't know if he lasted at Leeds for a year of trying to get it right, and it didn't work at Chelsea quick enough for him either. So he's clearly got a way of building it slowly from the bottom up, but it takes time, and you've got to invest in that and accept the first season is probably not going to be brilliant. And then it'll get great. Then it'll get really, really good. But Rodgers, I like him. I think he's a really good coach. I think he plays a really good style of football. I think it's the kind of football that Leeds fans would like to watch. And outside of Leicester, I think he's been reasonably successful at most clubs he's been at. I think if you
What
say
went
Liverpool,
wrong there? Then? What went wrong there?
They just didn't give any money really, and the players they brought in.
Mm.
Well, actually, there's two things on this. They went down the Red Bull line as well. That's why they wanted to bring Harrison. They went down the Red Bull line. Southampton went down the Red Bull line, and we went down the Red Bull line. And all three clubs are in the bottom four. So it's the bottom three.
Yeah, and I think as well, what is a little bit worrying is the fact that we don't have or seem to have any sort of plan in place for the 29th of May, because
we don't know
where is the director of football, who is going to be in charge. And I just think, we're already seeing, and I know they're held up as up there, but we're already seeing Brighton have signed James Milner, Dawood, and Joao Pedro before the season's even bloody finished.
We're going after loads of 16-year-olds, Joe, don't you know? Squad.
This was always the plan, Joe. This was the plan. Go down, play the kids.
Exactly.
Three that I could mention that I've read about today, for God's sake. Honestly, God, one signed last week, didn't he? And oh my God. Yeah.
This is the thing, isn't it? We need to be making some sort of, contingency plans, and I'm just not sure if Rads is doing that, because he left it all up to water. So what who's doing the?
Is it Rads making the decision? Even
it is now.
Yeah, exactly.
49ers. We don't even know. That's the thing.
No, exactly.
We don't even know who will own us on the 29th of May. Say if we went down, no one knows. If we stayed up, no one knows. That's the situation we're in, and we're on the 15th of May right now. So it is it. And if we did go down, you're looking at sort of 20, 21 championship clubs who have had an extra sort of 3 or 4 weeks preparation going into next season straight off the bat. So it's a worrying thought, that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
This stuff that's gone around. Rads is the last rumor from, I think it was from Milan Live or something, was one of the sources, and they had said that Radrizzani's consortium have actually withdrawn or are in the process of withdrawing their interest in Inter Milan, which would suggest that he's possibly looking. You said this, Joe, weeks and weeks and weeks ago, and I nearly cried when you said it, because I went, shit, he's right. And I hadn't thought about it. And I've heard a load of people now say it. If we go down, we have the parachute payments because we're 3 years in the Premier League. We get the 100 million. He stays. Rad stays for at least one more year to get it back up so he can sell the club for the value that he wants to sell it at, not the value. There's no clause in the contract that say that they have to buy it. Sorry, Kate?
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, but isn't there some rumor going around that basically he would sell some more shares to make the 49ers majority shareholder?
That's an option that's there. So the first one is, the clause is if Leeds stay in the Premier League for the 450 million. If Leeds go down, there's no clause in the contract that he has to sell. He doesn't have to sell anyway. It's an option, not an obligation. Right. He doesn't have to sell the club. But if they go down, the sensible thing to do, because he said it himself that he hasn't got the money to keep reinvesting in it, and he said that himself, and he needs to step aside and let somebody else money. The sensible thing to do would be sell 5% to the 49ers, or 7% to the 49ers. Let them go over the 50% mark. They become majority owners. You become the minority owner, but still a very large stake. They can get involved, buy the club, get the ownership stuff that they want put in place, build it up, get back in the Premier League, and then Rads can sell his 49% or whatever it is for the value he wants to sell. That's the smart move. But
that's hopefully the way it goes. That's hopefully the way it goes.
It makes too much sense. It's too logical to actually be something.
Yes.
It's the happy medium, isn't it? I mean, it's just everyone's kind of happy with that, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%. Magnus has just sent a super chat in saying, just want to thank Kate for being our voice of thought on Bamford. He is by far the worst footballer I have ever seen play regularly for Leeds. So perhaps there you go. Hate to break hearts as well, folks. The dream of Marcelo Bielsa coming to Leeds United has dissipated because Uruguay official Twitter have literally just tweeted this out, which is
why would they do that? That's just upsetting. That's not fair.
And I am leaving the stream right now.
That's not okay. Just announce him as the manager. What are you putting a bucket up for and upsetting us all?
Yeah, exactly. A bucket and a cup of coffee. So I think that's all. But yeah, I mean that can only mean one thing.
I miss him.
So
I never thought I'd miss an old man, but I miss him.
Me and my sauces, Me and my sauces. It is what it is. We moved.
Was it ketchup, mate?
You weren't alone, Joe. You weren't alone. There was a lot of people.
No. Listen, I had it corroborated and re-corroborated, but it is what it is. It is. We moved.
I don't think for a second that you were wrong that the 49ers reached out.
No, definitely not.
He probably did, but he's a man of his word. Unfortunately, he probably already gave his word to Uruguay at that stage.
I mean, what's the better bet? What's Bielsa now? 68, 67? I mean, you've got a Uruguay team there where you've got some general generational talents in certain positions. You've got a Copa America coming up next summer. What are you going to take, that or going back into potentially the Championship or a Premier League struggling team?
Absolutely.
I mean, you look at it logically from that point of view. I mean, we all know how desperate he is to win an international trophy after he was basically robs of a Copa America whilst he's at Argentina. It's not a massive surprise. But, I mean, the only hope we had was if he wanted a club football job rather than an international football job. Clearly doesn't seem to be the case. He does have a lot of affiliation with Uruguay as well. I think he actually even lives in Uruguay now as well. So, yeah, it's not a massive surprise. You've got a team, likes of Valverde, Darwin Núñez, who just really suit his style of chaotic football. They just really, really suit it down to a T. So I think it's doing really well for Uruguay, to be honest.
I hope he wins.
I'll get my Uruguay shirt in the post at the next payday for sure.
Tell you what, though, it's interesting. Uruguay have always been known as the hard men of South American football. He'll change that completely. They'll become the footballers of South American football now.
True.
Right. Though, are you going to get a tattoo of Big Sam on your? No one will. Everyone always says this to me, or Jesse, or this or that. No one will ever compare to what that man did to me in that space of time that he was here. Like it just. No, I know.
Any of us. This is our generation's. We didn't win a Premier League with him in charge, but like my dad's generation had Don Revie and Howard Wilkinson. I have Bielsa and Simon Grayson. That they were lesser wins, but they were the two managers that gave us a bit of joy in what was 20 years of absolute misery. Like
he just made me love football. Like, do you know what I mean? Just watch, like going to Ellen Road every week. That's then when Lee was in charge, thinking, I am going to be entertained. Like, I am going to be entertained. And like Phil Hayes' book says, and it was beautiful.
It was,
Do you know what I mean? It was beautiful indeed. We've hit the hour mark. I'm aware people are tired and it's getting on. So let's just finish up with some West Ham score predictions. Great show again. Before we do that, though, folks, get your score predictions in the chat. Make sure you check out Oscar at All Leeds TV. Links in the description. You've got Joe at Leeds United View.
Everyone's gone.
Hey? What? Have I gone?
No.
The internet.
Joe went, where's he gone? And then I'm like, what? And everyone else looked like they'd froze, but no, it was Joe. Kate at Leeds Birds Rants every morning, breakfast show and all that jazz. And subscribe to the channel. Listen, we're getting so close to 20k as well, so make that happen. So let's get some score predictions. I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds United. Kate, I'm going to come to you.
Same, 2-1.
Love that. Oscar?
Yeah, I'm going the same. 2-1. Cooper winner from a Weston McKennie long throw.
Oh, lovely.
Love that. I say that every day of the week. And Joe, can you give us a clean sweep, or are you going to go somewhere different?
2-2, Joe.
2-2. Oh, boo.
Oh,
God. Boo.
We beat Spurs in the final day and stay up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, my worry is that imagine Everton and Forest get something on that Saturday. Yeah. Sunday's going to be brutal. Like, I can't cope. Come on, now, Wolves. I know, yeah, exactly. Do you know what? As soon as the season finish, I'm walking into Hayes Travel down the road from me and saying, right, where am I going? Do you know what I mean? I'm going away for 7 days and that's me gone. I don't care where. Just get me out of this country so I can relax for a bit. Yeah,
I got to jump, folks. Apologies. Gotta go. Someone at the door. I have to jump to someone in front door.
Yeah. No worries. We're ending now anyway. See you later, mate. Yeah.
No
worries. Joe's definitely on a promise.
You're at 11:30.
I know, he's definitely lying, isn't he? Who's knocking at the door at 11:30? His missus has just showed up like that in a little bit of negotiating. Come with me, Joe. He'll kill me for that. She just stuck a leg in the door like that. He's gone. Right, we'll leave it there, folks. I don't know what I'll be doing tomorrow. Maybe I'll be back. I don't know. I know I've got watch along on Thursday for West Ham game, but other than that, I'll see you on the other side. I'm working till 11, actually. There might not be nothing from me. But Kate will be out in the morning with her breakfast show. Oscar, just check out all these
wake up after this.
Pardon?
If I get up in time after this, yeah, I'll be knackered.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. Breakfast show at lunchtime. Brunch. It's brunch. Right, folks, we'll leave it there. I'll stop rambling now. Peace out. And